Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a question that might seem a bit strange at first, but is absolutely fundamental in many areas of maths and physics. What is the square root of -1? This is important because if you think about numbers you're used to, like 2, -3, or 5.7, when you square any of them, you always get a positive result. For example, 2 times 2 is 4. And -3 times -3 is 9. So, how can we get -1 by squaring a number? This puzzle leads us to a whole new world of numbers. Let's break it down. Step 1. Visualizing the problem. Imagine our usual number line, with 0 in the middle, positive numbers stretching to the right, and negative numbers to the left. If you pick any number on this line and multiply it by itself, you'll always land on a positive number or 0. For example, 2 squared is 4, and -2 squared is also 4. This means the square root of -1 can't be found on this line. To find it, mathematicians had to imagine a new direction, a new axis for numbers, perpendicular to this real number line. Step 2. Identifying key variables and constants. The problem asks for the square root of -1. So, we're looking for a number, let's call it x, such that when you multiply x by itself, x squared, the result is -1. The constant here is -1, the number whose square root we are seeking. Step 3. Relevant equations and principles. The main equation we're trying to solve is x squared equals -1. Since no real number, those on our familiar number line, satisfies this, we need to define a new type of number. Mathematicians introduced a special symbol for the square root of -1. This symbol is I, which stands for the imaginary unit. The defining principle for I is I squared equals -1. Step 4. Solving for the unknown. Based on our definition, if I squared equals -1, then taking the square root of both sides tells us that 1 square root of -1 is I. So x equals I. Now, let's consider another possibility. What if we take -I? If we square -I, we get -I squared equals -1 squared times I squared equals 1 times -1. So -I is also a square root of -1. When we talk about the square root of -1, we usually mean the principal root, which is I. So we can say I squared equals I. Step 5. Checking the answer. Let's quickly check. If we say the square root of -1 is I, then I squared should be -1. And indeed, by definition, I squared equals -1. This is consistent. If we consider -I, then -I equals -1 times I times -1 times I equals 1 times -1 equals -1. This is also consistent. Step 6. Conclusion and importance. So the square root of -1 is I, the imaginary unit. The introduction of I is incredibly powerful. It allows us to define a new set of numbers called complex numbers, which are written in the form a plus bi, where a and b are real numbers, like a equals 3, b equals 2, giving 3 plus 2i. These aren't just abstract mathematical ideas. Complex numbers are essential tools in many real-world applications, especially in physics and engineering. They are used to analyze AC electrical circuits, describe wave functions in quantum mechanics, in signal processing, and much more. Step 7. Additional insights. The name imaginary is a bit unfortunate because it suggests these numbers aren't real or useful, but they are a perfectly valid and essential part of mathematics. Thinking about the complex plane, where the horizontal axis is the real number line and the vertical axis is the imaginary number line, I is simply a point 1 unit up on the imaginary axis. This geometric view helps in understanding operations with complex numbers. The existence of I also means that every polynomial equation has a solution within the complex number system, which is a very powerful result known as the fundamental theorem of algebra. Step 8. Final summary and key takeaways. To sum up, The square root of -1 is I, and also minus I, with I being the principal root. This was established by defining I squared equals -1. The key takeaway is that I is the foundation of complex numbers. These numbers extend our understanding beyond the real number line and are crucial for solving many problems in advanced mathematics, physics, and engineering. This simple concept opens the door to a much richer mathematical landscape. So, in a nutshell, while you can't find a real number that squares to -1, by defining the imaginary unit I, we unlock the realm of complex numbers, which are indispensable in science and engineering. It allows us to solve equations like x squared plus 1 equals 0, which previously had no solutions. Thank you for joining this session. I hope this explanation of the square root of -1 was clear. If you found this helpful, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with anyone you think might benefit. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have a specific physics or maths problem you'd like to see solved in its own video, consider donating to the channel. Every month, we'll select a few donated problems to tackle. Thanks again, and see you next time.